Thanks again for joining me. The concept I've really embraced over the years is called slowing the game down. It's a common piece of advice. It's also one of the hardest to follow without intention. When the stakes are high, everything in us seems to push in the other direction. We want to respond quickly. We want to solve the problem. We want to show that we have the answer, make the discomfort go away, and everything seems like an 11th hour fire drill. I've watched experienced leaders, intelligent leaders, allow the speed of the moment determine the quality of their response. Leadership is rarely at its best when it's driven by that kind of urgency. I've done it myself. I've seen organizations spend more time Monday morning quarterbacking than anticipating what is coming around the corner. In my own leadership, I've found that the ability to do that rests on 4 disciplines: preparation, prioritization, planning, and practice. I call them the 4 Ps. Together, they create the clarity and the composure that allow a leader to respond with purpose when the game begins moving fast. Slowing the game down means bringing greater clarity to our decisions, even when leadership requires us to move quickly. Urgency may shape the timeline. The leader still determines the response. Slowing the game down is the ability to create enough space, sometimes only a few seconds, to see the situation more clearly, to separate the signal from the noise and respond with intention. The best leaders I've known could do that. In a tense meeting, a difficult conversation, or a moment when something had gone wrong, they seemed to create more time for themselves. They had learned to use the moment well. The game tends to speed up when 3 things come together: pressure, emotion, and uncertainty. Pressure tells us something important is at stake. Emotion tells us that we are personally invested. Uncertainty reminds us that we do not control everything that happens next. None of those things is bad. In fact, all 3 are normal parts of leadership. The problem begins when we stop noticing what they're doing inside of us. Maybe we feel challenged and become defensive. Maybe we fear looking indecisive, so we speak before we've listened. Maybe the problem creates anxiety and we reach for the first available answer because having an answer feels better than sitting with uncertainty. This is why leadership begins on the inside. Before we can lead the room, we have to recognize what is happening within us. There is a small but powerful space between what happens to us and what we do next. Intentional leaders learn to protect that space. Sometimes it looks like taking a breath before answering. Sometimes it means saying, "Let me make sure I understand what you're telling me." Sometimes it means ending a meeting without forcing a decision and committing to coming back with an answer at a specified time. Each of those responses reflects a leader who values thoughtfulness and clarity over the appearance of instant certainty. In that pause, ask yourself a few simple questions. What's actually happening here? What part of my reaction is about the issue and what part is about me? What does the moment require from me as a leader? Those questions can change the direction of a conversation because they move us from instinct to intention. The pause is only part of it. The ability to slow the game down in public is usually built through work done in private. This is the role of the 4 Ps: preparation, prioritization, planning, and practice. Each one creates a different kind of clarity. Preparation helps us understand and organize. Prioritization helps us choose where best to spend our efforts. Planning helps us chart a path and anticipate variables. Practice helps us perform. When those 4 disciplines reinforce one another, the leader is less likely to be controlled by the speed, emotion, or uncertainty of the moment. Preparation means doing the work before the work, so you can understand the environment, the people, and the facts before the pressure arrives. It means entering the room with a well-informed point of view. A prepared leader has studied the issue, asked the questions, listened to the people closest to the work, and considered what may be at stake for others. Surprises will still happen. Preparation helps us stay oriented when they do. When we are unprepared, we spend the moment trying to catch up. When we're prepared, we can spend the moment paying attention. Prioritization means deciding what matters most and focusing on the right problems before everything begins competing for our attention. It keeps every new demand from becoming equally urgent. Prioritization gives the leader a filter. It helps us ask, does solving this problem align with our purpose and goals? And it gives you and your team appropriate boundaries. the ability to say no or not yet. Planning means charting out the path of activities and actions in order to meet strategic goals. It also means thinking beyond those actions. It's the discipline of anticipating decisions, obstacles, dependencies, and trade-offs before we encounter them. A good plan helps us recognize the future sooner. We consider what might change, where resistance may come from, who needs to be involved, and what we will do if our first approach falls short. That foresight creates options, and when the pressure rises, options help us keep urgency from turning into panic. Imagine the calm that can come over your team when you say, "It's okay. We thought this might happen. This is what we're going to do." Practice is where preparation becomes usable. We rehearse the habits, the language, the conversations that we'll need when the situation becomes difficult. We often assume that experienced leaders will simply know what to say. The most important conversations deserve preparation beyond improvisation. Practice means saying the words out loud, anticipating the questions we will receive, testing our message with someone we trust, or repeatedly building the habit of pausing before we respond. This is true in sports, which is where the phrase "slow the game down" is often used. Preparation and repetition help an experienced player recognize patterns sooner, making the action feel slower. The same thing happens in leadership. What looks like composure in the moment is often the 4 Ps showing up on time. Fewer things surprise us, and we're able to call on our experiences, lean on our planning and preparation, stay true to our prioritization. Values, purpose, and priorities become a filter under pressure. If you know what you are trying to protect, what you are trying to build, and how you want people to experience your leadership, you have something sturdier than emotion to guide you. We all need a North Star. That clarity keeps the loudest voice or the newest problem from automatically becoming the priority. Slowing the game down gives you the chance to ask, is this response consistent with what I say that I'm for? A leader's pace becomes contagious. If you enter the room anxious, reactive, or desperate for resolution, the team usually feels it. People begin protecting themselves. They narrow their thinking, reach for safe answers, and hold back ideas that may be useful. A calm leader can widen the room while maintaining the urgency. A question such as, "What are we missing?" Or, "If we act today, what problem might we create tomorrow?" creates permission to tell the truth and consider more than one path. These questions improve the conversation and help the team move forward wisely. This matters especially in difficult conversations. Slow the game down long enough to distinguish the person from the problem. Get curious before you become conclusive. State what you observed, explain why it matters, and leave room to learn what you don't know yet. You may still need to make a hard decision. Slowing the game down here helps us apply courage with greater purpose. Think about a leadership moment you wish you could do over. What made the game speed up? Were you tired, defensive, afraid of disappointing somebody? Did you confuse decisiveness with speed? Reflection helps us recognize the pattern and prepare for it. This is how experience grows into wisdom for the next time. Leadership will always bring moments when the pressure rises, the information is incomplete, and people are watching what we do next. The pace around us will often be outside of our control. The pace within us is something we can learn to manage. Prepare so you can understand. Prioritize so you can choose. Plan so you can anticipate. Practice so you can perform. Then, when the moment arrives, protect the space between stimulus and response. Ask the question that helps everyone see more clearly and act with purpose. The 4 Ps help us carry the pressure of leadership while staying in control of how we respond. So here's a question I'll leave you with. Where in your leadership is the game moving too fast? And what would become possible if you slowed it down? I explore this idea more deeply in Built on Purpose, Lessons in Leadership and Culture. You can learn more about the book and my leadership work at paulpetera.com. Thanks for watching.